Meeting of November 9th. We are on a virtual meeting as we've been doing during this year. We will continue to handle the meeting the way we've done with each topic. We've got three main items. We first have to approve the minutes, but the three main items are Mitchell Modular first, Sunita Williams School, and then the Public Safety Complex Fire Station number 2 update. And let's figure out if is Michael available, Steve, or do we want to switch the agenda because of that?
I'm going to text him, but I haven't spoken to him today. So if Hank is ready, I think we should move on to
Sunita Williams.
Yeah.
So before you go further, you're going to need to add some other people to this meeting, right, Hank?
Yes, Michael Kaskak should be let in. I don't know if Susan Neckes is also.
Okay, and as you're doing that, if I'd ask the committee to back up to the approve the minutes, if we could get a motion for the previous meeting's minutes.
I move we approve the previous meeting minutes from 3 weeks ago.
Great, and do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Erwin. Any questions? Okay, coming to the vote, and again, it's virtual meeting. We'll go through a roll call. I'll read the names. Richard?
Who's that, please? You cut out. Oh.
The vote?
Did you call my name?
Yes.
Okay, you cut out for a second. Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me now okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So
Aye.
Richard? George?
Aye.
Erwin?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Stewart's and I. Okay, great. All right, that's to approve the minutes. Now we will go to the Sunita Williams agenda item. We will flip Mitchell and Sunita Williams. So over to you, Hank.
Okay, I did send out an agenda, and just note that the LEED silver plaque has been now installed in the front entrance. And sits when you come in. There's that bay directly overlooking the gymnasium. The bio for Sunita Williams is on your right, and the LEED silver plaque is on your left. So we're through that. Everything's installed, and that is invoiced on this upcoming final invoice. Conservation Commission has issued its certificate of compliance. And we have, since we can't go directly to the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds, it has been mailed to them. And we're waiting for the final closure of that. And now we are in the process of doing closeout and final audit with the MSBA. And important steps in that process will be your approval of the invoices that you'll be seeing tonight, the last of the Bacon Construction Company invoices, and the last of the Doran Whittier invoices, and the final FF&E invoice, which is from Red Thread. We have received and distributed all the O&M manuals and the as-builts. And I will also be asking for a formal vote to approve the Doran Whittier Architects DCAM 100% review. There are a few warranty issues that we're still dealing with, but it's clear that we are retaining the bonds associated with Bacon Construction. And we will do so through the replanting season next spring when the landscape contractor comes back in and replaces, gosh, there are quite a few plants, shrubs that require replacement, but those will be done. And Bacon will be, and will hold their bond until that time. So with that, I guess I'd like to review the Doran Whittier DCAM assessment, perhaps as the first vote.
Just before that, Hank, is in terms of the, I do not have your sheet open, but did you put a budget summary on there? Because when we rescinded the 10 million, we had approximately less than $1 million left. And are we okay budget-wise? I know these are the last invoices, but we have nothing else that is going to come against the project at this point, right?
No, the only thing that might come forward is the 49,000 that you all approved for the sidewalks.
Yeah.
I did receive an email from Ryan Hoyland, and he indicated that due to various delays in schedule, they will probably not get to those sidewalks until next spring.
Okay.
So if that becomes a problem in terms of our closeout, which I don't think it will, then he has offered just to take that on as a fully DPW funded project.
Okay. And I mean, basically the closeout with MSBA is going to be into the next summer anyways, right? Because of all the logistics.
Yeah, through April, if we can go as fast as we want. But as Catherine pointed out to me, those sidewalk costs would be reimbursable anyway. And the prior sidewalk costs we didn't even submit because we knew that they would not be reimbursable.
Okay.
So they could still be funded through the project funds, but they just would not enter into the final closeout for the MSBA.
Yeah, all it would do is, all that would do is simply decrease our contingency and what we rescind back to the town for
Correct.
49,000. And
Yeah.
we have until we do that final rescission to make that decision. And are we still sure that there's no way to transfer that from our budget on this project to the DPW budget?
Well, we would do that the way we did a transfer. Well, actually, the last time we did the sidewalks, what we did was DPW received the invoices, and then Catherine gave them the project number, accounting number to charge it against. And since you have already approved it, once DPW approved the invoice, then we would process it for payment. So George, yes, it's sort of like a transfer, but it's a direct charge against the account. Correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine.
I think that's the way it would happen.
Right, I have one other question, Hank.
Yep.
Are the O&M manuals all in digital form, or are they hard copy or a mix or what?
Both. We
Both. And the building maintenance department takes those on and owns those and stores them and files them appropriately, et cetera.
there's one copy at the school, there's one copy at PSAP, and there's a third copy over at the Daily Building of each of those documents, as well as the full as-built drawings. And then we have also uploaded and then each of those locations received a disk or a thumb drive. And I've also uploaded all the information to the common drive, so it's mutually accessible by our department and by their department.
Including as-bills.
Including as-bills, correct.
Okay.
And we still have access to the website where all the data is stored. And I'm told it's forever and ever and ever, but who knows? It could be forever. I think we will look at the possibility of transferring Procore data to a town-owned Procore site, which might be advantageous in the future as we move on to future projects.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, go ahead, Hank.
So for the Doran Whittier DCAM, I did forward that to all of you. And in essence, it's a 4.0 is a perfect score. I felt that on this project, they performed admirably on all fronts. Going from the transitioning from the design team to really the construction management team. They had a very strong individual, Dave Menser, maybe some of you have met or seen online, who coordinated all of that for us. They were able to get responses, timely responses out of the consultants as we were going through the submittal process. They did give us comprehensive evaluation on each of the change orders. And some of them we did an awful lot of negotiating over. And they certainly assisted in that process. When we ran into some stumbling blocks, I think that they offered up some very creative solutions. And in terms of the quality of the contract documents, they had less than 1% change orders due to design issues. I think it was 0.91% of the change orders we attributed to design issues. And even that, we stretched it a little bit because the town was able to get reimbursement on things if it was deemed to be a design issue. So they did very well in terms of their contract document coordination coming in, and also during the approval process. They were in constant communication, and even though Dave was residing up in Vermont, in their Vermont office, he would come down on a weekly basis. And as we transitioned into COVID era, was always available on the Teams. And they were certainly very supportive of our team, which included Daedalus during the whole construction process. So I really could not fault them on any of the fronts. And therefore, I'd ask you to approve this so we can then submit it. It would be the 100% submittal for their work on the project. And we do have to make that submittal as part of the closeout.
Any questions from anybody? Comments? I don't see any.
Just
George?
one comment from me, and that is that the 0.9% is actually less than what MSBA considers a good review. I think that's correct, isn't it, Hank?
Yes, they start looking at anything over 1%, or I should say, Doran Whittier tries to keep it under 1%, is what they've indicated to me. I think that on ad reno projects, MSBA might look up to 2.5% because they know there are going to be a lot of unfound problems as they go through the documentation. But yes, it's below the MSBA standard.
Well, I'll recommend approval.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? Hearing, seeing none, coming to the vote, I'll do the roll call. Make sure I got everybody. Just make sure Susan. Great. All right, Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Chair, aye. Okay, great.
And I also see that Don is on, and I do want to congratulate him for a job well done. As I noted in there, I hope that they will submit it for design awards. I think the project is worthy of that.
And I could comment, I have another person that we're trying to get in this age of COVID, because people are definitely contacting me to come and see it and take pictures. And I'm happy to do that because I'm very proud of the school too. I think it's fantastic. So
Yeah,
thank you, Don.
great
Thank you,
job.
Michelle.
I'd like to, I have to say, Don, that, go ahead, Don, you got a comment?
I just want to, first of all, thank you for all of your support, and just say that projects like this don't come along very often. You have so much support, starting with the PPVC, the school department, the administration, the teachers, the kids, the parents, where everything just all worked out from our perspective perfectly. So the success of this project is due to you and everyone that supports you in your endeavor. So thank you.
That's great. I have to say, when I was reading the paper, I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, I saw this building and I'm like, that looks familiar. I looked closer and it wasn't, but it's another building you put up for bid, I think, right? It's another school building within the state, but it has a very similar characteristic on the to Hillside with the, to Sunita Williams with the front entrance and the roof line. I don't know if you
Interesting.
picked it up. Yeah.
It is one of a kind.
Yeah, but there is similar. You have design elements.
Well, there
that are
could be.
in another building. I don't know if it's Gloucester or if it's somewhere
Oh,
else.
perhaps East Gloucester. That just passed their debt exclusion vote on the 3rd, so it may have been that.
Right. There's a similar kind of character to it.
Yeah.
So I said that has to be a Doran Whittier building. I looked closer and I read it and it said yes, it was. So
Yeah. Well, we don't want that to
congratulations.
start
So that
happening.
works too.
We don't have any
I-
name on that
I would-
one.
I would encourage you all to try to find some opportunity to get a little more visibility, because I think for a school like this, it has so many incredibly unique features. And I think that's worthy to be mentioned. Some of it's site related, but an awful lot of other things are quite unique in the school. And I think overall, it's a terrific opportunity to toot your horn a little bit.
Well, thank you, George. You know, we don't go out seeking design awards when we start to do a project, but because of the success of this building and conversations that we've had with Hank, we are going to seek some opportunities to try to get the building and the community some recognition. So, because everyone that has seen the building who has spoken to us, they rave about it also. And getting inside the building makes it even better.
Right.
And it could have been a turkey.
Oh,
Wow.
That was supposed to be a joke. Maybe it wasn't too funny, but anyway, we had our share of turkey carcasses
Oh, yeah.
along the way.
But I think the comment, Stuart, that you said about the building, I think there are going to be not copycats, but there's a lot of return people coming back, and they're waiting anxiously to be able to get back inside. People that have, groups that have come over more than once now,
Yeah.
that like a lot of the elements of the school, they want to replicate it in their own towns. And as I said, it's just the pandemic has made it very difficult to get people in there and come by and take pictures. They can come outside, but getting them in.
Yeah.
But once that lets up, I think it's going to continue. People are going to still want to come
Yeah,
in.
I mean, I think it's Doran Whittier's design. I mean, there's elements there that I sort of picked up on some other buildings. So I know what the characteristic of Doran Whittier is now.
Well, I will say this, though. This was the first building where we used the elements that you see
Yeah.
here are being used. So the next ones are paying homage to Sunita Williams.
Right.
That's great. I think that's great. Erwin, you had your hand up.
yeah, I always think at the beginning of the project, when you first start to see the renderings of what it's going to look like, and usually by the time you get to the end of the project, it's really changed a lot, but I think it's pretty close to what the original vision was and what it turned out to be.
Right,
So
and-
we really are thrilled with the job you did and the product that got built.
And I think that one of the things that we liked the best was one of the early slideshows we put together of what it was going to look like and what it did look like. Remember, Hank, and how they came so close that it's just remarkable that the rendering is exact. It's what you see is what you get. And it was just, it's amazing. Terrific.
That's great. All right. If I may, I just want to pull us back. I think we have 2 voting items, Hank.
Yes, we have the final pay app.
Yep.
Which is for Bacon Construction Company.
Yep.
And this includes the return of all of their retainage. And the total amount is $29,741.90.
Okay. So I'll put forth for approval the Bacon Construction Rec 37 final, coming out of the general contracting budget for $29,741.99. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second,
Thank you, Richard. And any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the vote. I'll do the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
aye.
Gene,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Stewart's and I. Okay, great. And the last invoice, Hank?
Yeah, there are actually 2 more. So the Doran Whittier invoice, final invoice, which is for a total amount of $10,487.66.
So I put forth that invoice for $10,487.66 for Doran Whittier's October services coming out of the architecture budget. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Seeing no hands or facial questions. Okay. We'll come to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Gene,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and Stewart's and I as well. Okay. And I don't have the other one listed, Hank, so you may have to.
The last one is Red Thread, which is FF&E, and it was noted in my agenda, and it's return of retainage. They were one of the largest FF&E contractors.
Yeah. Can you read the amount? I don't have that in front of me.
It's $5,000 even.
Okay. And the budget, FF&E. Okay, great. So I'll put forth that invoice for $5,000 coming out of the FF&E and budget. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Thank you, Erwin. Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll go through the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Erwin,
aye.
Gene,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Stewart's and I as well. Okay. Anything else, Hank?
I think that's it.
Okay. Don?
Or if I could, again, to everyone here for all of your support throughout the project, but I do want to mention Michelle and Dave Menser because they were really the leaders from our firm on this project, and they guided us through this seamlessly and very smoothly. So thank you to Michelle and Dave Menser too.
Great. Thank you all. Excellent. All right. Thank you, Don. Thanks,
Thank
Hank
you.
and Michelle. And we will now close the Sunita Williams topic down. We'll switch back to the Mitchell Modular. And Mike, that's up to you. Hi, Natasha. And let me just get that down because I got to make sure we're voting. Okay, great. To you, Mike.
All right, great. All right. The agenda is pretty brief. I think for what you guys have seen, we completed some change order work last month, and that was for the metering faucets, and we had approved that change order at our previous meeting. So that work's now complete. We took the old faucets and gave them to building maintenance. So they have those on hand if they ever need them for anything. So we're gonna look to get payment for that change order and the last reduction of retainage. I'm sorry, the last reduction of punch list. We needed some filters for the drinking fountain in the Mitchell Modulars, and we received those, and they were delivered by me over to the over to Mitchell, and those are all set. So, does anybody have any questions on anything?
So does that mean we're finished?
George, we're not finished until next year when we can do the conservation.
Oh, beside that one, I assume.
Yes. There shouldn't be anything else. So,
So we're finished with everything except the Concom.
yes, I don't anticipate anything else coming in. I'm waiting for some paperwork to come in. We'll hold this payment until we get that final paperwork for consent to surety and the release of liens and some other stuff. And they're working on that. They needed to get the AIA forms, and Doran Whittier's forwarded those onto them. They'll fill them out, and we'll get them hopefully by next week and be able to close that bit of paperwork out.
I don't recall the amount of money we have left in our budget, but
I
do
can-
we have
I
anything
can
left?
tell you what we have. We have a couple of things left in here. So we have probably right about $120,000 left in contingency. And we have a couple of items. We still have some money left over in the under Doran Whittier's side that I don't think we'll spend all of that. And that's around 34,000, I think, or maybe a little less, 33,000. So we just got another invoice today. So we'll look that over and get payment on that one at our next meeting.
My only comment is that this is a project where we had to go back to town meeting and ask for more money. And it'd be nice to rescind some of it back to them at some point.
Correct.
It looks like we'll be able to do that.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. And so there's only one voting item, Mike, right? Which is the requisition 12 final for the Triumph Modular for $3,588.15 out of the general contracting budget.
Correct.
Okay, I'll put that forth for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second?
Thank you, Richard. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, come to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
He said aye.
thank you. I didn't hear it. Jean,
Aye.
I gotta take the earwax out of mine. Natasha,
Aye.
and Stewart's an aye. All right, great.
It wasn't a very loud aye.
That's okay. I can blame it on the technology. I don't have to blame it on my poor ears. All right. Thanks, Mike. Anything else left on that? Okay, great.
We're good.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
So we'll close down the Mitchell Modular agenda item. We will now turn our attention. Actually, if I may, while we have here, can I just put forth the school master plan invoice for approval? And then we'll turn our attention to the public safety topic. Got a number of invoices there, but I figured I might as well get this out of the way. So if you'll oblige, I'm going to put forth the invoice for Doran Whittier for October services on the school master plan study for $7,615.05 coming out of the architectural budget. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the roll call. Okay, Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin.
Aye.
I heard that. Jean,
Aye.
Natasha,
Aye.
Stewart's and I. All right, great. So that will take care of that other business invoice. All right, thank you. So we will now turn our attention to the public safety, and I'll turn that to you, Ken and Steve. And just a heads up, folks, there is a number of voting items. So once we get done, we'll have to just go through a few. Okay, Ken?
Yeah, all right, let me try and get this
the agenda up.
Do you have everybody here that you need to in the panel?
Steve is, who's in the waiting room? Are the chiefs in the waiting room and KBA and Miles?
Miles, Michael, and Keith are in the waiting room.
Can we get them all on?
Yeah, let's get them all. I don't see the chiefs anywhere.
I'm here. It's John.
Oh, hey, John. Thank you. Okay.
All right, we get everyone in?
Chief. Okay.
Yeah, everyone should be in.
I'm here. I can't figure out my video.
I know, it's funny.
Thanks, Dennis. All right,
Here we
great. Okay, super. All right, go ahead, Ken.
All right, the schedule, demo's complete on the old building. Excavation's underway. They've started to tear down the supportive excavation that was holding up the phase line between phase 1 and 2. Hoping to get work started on concrete forming next week. They spent the day today hauling out that beautiful sand that's underlying the site. I'd like to have that concession. The communication system permit sign-offs have been received. Eversource finally came in and did their bypass and transformer work last Thursday. For those of you who have Eversource as a supplier for, at least on the electric side, they had 11 guys out there last week doing this work, and only 3 of them were working at any given time. So that's what your money goes to. Fire Station 2, soils work is complete. Final closeout on that will be in the spring, depending on the whims of DEP. We may be able to do it March, it may be May. It may not be until we actually occupy the building. It'll all depend on how they want us to do that final closeout. Steel erection's mostly complete. They're up on working on the roof. Depending on the weather the rest of the week, they may or may not get that finished this week, but they won't be by the end of the week, they shouldn't be very far from getting that completed on the erection side, and then they'll be working on detailing, bolting up, welding, deck work, etc. Under slab utility install is ongoing. About 1/3 of the under slab utilities on the lower bay are done. The stair and elevator tower masonry is complete. Still looking for substantial completion around this time next year, and police department substantial completion the beginning of 2022. Any questions with the schedule? All right. The ACL, some of these items are familiar, some of them are new. We've got the restoring the hillside site, the tariff costs on the electrical, although that is seems to be going away. Hopefully, we may be able to take that off in the next few months. We've got the future COVID costs going forward. This month, we're picking up in the change order the to date through October. The 2 electric and security revisions at Fire Station 2 and PD, we met a couple weeks ago and we're working on finalizing that. Those numbers will come down a little bit, but not substantially. We worked through what wasn't necessary, but I don't think combined we're going to see much more than 20,000, if even that, between those 2 numbers coming down. Fire Station 2 foundation backfill. This is the last of the numbers. This number may or may not be what it is. We have a meeting tomorrow to go through and try and finalize this. Protecting the existing transformer at headquarters. This is due to the slowness of the Eversource work. We had to release the design work 2 weeks ago in order to keep the schedule, just in case Eversource did not do what they needed to do last week. We're going to look to try and get this reimbursed from Eversource. The next 4 items, the backlit signage at Fire Station 2, the bell support at Fire Station 2, courtyard modifications at police headquarters, and the police carport modifications. These are all value engineering numbers, and we're trying to get the final numbers on this, and we will be having a value engineering meeting sometime in the very near future, and then we will be coming report back to this committee as to what their pleasure is on cutting some of these items back. Some door hardware, PD site wall modifications. This also is a value engineering item. Fire Station 2 lift outlet modifications. This is in the mechanics bay. We're switching the type of lift that we're getting. Some, if not all of this number, will be covered by the savings in the original number we had for the lift equipment. Stair 4 door modifications. We didn't have a door at the top of stair 4. We needed to get a door opening, car readers, etc. This is to access the roof. This is the stair at the end of police headquarters. Steam shower modifications. Mike McEwen from KBA is going to talk about this in a minute. And then the last item on here is the laundry extractor plumbing revisions. We needed to get the plumbing revised at Fire Station 2 for the extractor. That's the equipment that takes the water out of exactly what it sounds, the water out of the gear when they come back in. So before we get on to the voting items and before I have Mike take over on the steam showers, are there any questions on any of the other ACL items?
I can't see everybody's face, so either put your hand up on the electronic or make a comment and you can go ahead. We can keep
Question,
Go ahead, Erwin.
Stuart?
Yeah.
Actually, I have two questions and a comment. First question, Ken, based on what you said about the police station, am I correct in understanding that they did not encounter any surprises on the surface, or is there still excavation?
Knock on wood, nothing, Erwin. There's one. We haven't gotten around to where the old fill station was for PD, but that one was taken. That tank was taken out recently. We've got the report on it. Everything was done according to Hoyle on that one. So that's the one that I'm least concerned about in any way, shape, or form. The rest of the foundations and stuff all came out clean. So knock on wood, we're all right there.
Okay, and then I have a comment, and maybe this is just my own sensitivity as an LSP, but you had mentioned that up to the DEP about March or May. Unless this is in a special category, it's going to be up to the LSP to deem that all the requirements have been met to close the site. So I know it's just a minor comment, but is that correct, or is there some special involvement with DEP?
No, we don't. The reason why I gave the variant dates is the LSP is not sure if they're going to let us do the vapor intrusion testing when the building is temporarily weather tight, whether it's final weather tight, which is scheduled for May, or if they're going to make us wait until just before occupancy when all the building systems are running in order to do those final tests.
So they are waiting from some feedback from DEP with regard to, okay.
Yes.
And then maybe you'll be getting to this at some point a little later, but it's a question that is on our minds constantly every time we meet. Do we have a sense of how the burn rate went this cycle compared to previous cycles?
As I noted in my email when I sent this out, it was.
Sorry if I didn't get a chance to read it.
That's 20 some odd thousand. This month's change order is large, you'll see, but if you look at the items that are in it, we've got all the COVID from April through October. We've got the soils winter conditions in it. So it came down, I think it was 25,000 was this month's, I'll just call it normalized, if you will, change orders.
I gave Stuart Stuart had asked the same question. And essentially, if you take the remaining contingency into account, we're at a point where we're running about 20% below what we would have anticipated. We're running at a point where if we extend out to the end of the job, we're about 20% below what we had conservatively estimated when we knocked when we were talking with the FinCom and Select Board on the additional monies that are going to be needed in May.
So instead of 80,000, it's more like 65,000, Steve?
Well, yeah, I mean, no, it's 20% below. In other words, we have essentially enough margin to go at 100,000 to meet the number that we had stated. So that 20%, that's 20% above. So we're running 20% better than what we had anticipated. But it's really too early to make a judgment here. And I suggested that we wait another few months. At the beginning of the year, we should have a better handle as to where we're at. In other words, once we're through January, I think we'll have a much better handle in terms of the number that we will have to go to town meeting with.
I'm not sure I understand what the 20% means. Yeah, I thought we had said we were going to have a burn rate of about 80,000 a month. And if
Right.
that's the case, and you're averaging 20% below that, that would put you down in the 60s. Isn't that what that means?
That's essentially what it means. That's correct. The way I looked at it is if we had kept the additional funding that we were requesting, we're at a point now where we could be spending 100,000 a month and stay within that cap. We're not going to spend the 100,000. We're not going to spend the 80,000. It's a way of looking at that we're doing 20% better than what we had anticipated. So if you take the 20% from the 80, that takes you around 65. That's about where we're.
That's my simple-minded approach for looking at it.
Great. And I think Steve and Ken, I think it's important that we just touch on this as we move forward. And I agree, we should wait for the deeper analysis come the first of the year, but it's good just to get an indication of, are we in that area that we expected, or was there an oops, or was there a better? It's just a matter of helping, as you can see the questions from the committee. I think it's just good to know that how you guys are seeing it at this stage of the game. And I think that's great. So, relative to we thought we'd be on a higher burn. So knock on wood, maybe we're staying below and finding nothing more at the headquarters allows us to keep pace on where we need to be with this budget. So, okay. Thanks.
All right.
Ken, I don't know if there's anybody else got questions. I know that Erwin had the questions, and then are you all set, Erwin, or you have a follow-up?
All set. Thank you.
Okay.
We're going to hear from someone regarding the steam shower modification.
Yes, we will, George, but I want to make sure, because it was opened up for questions before we go there. Anything else?
Is that the only one that we're getting, more information on, the steam shower? Because there are a couple of other really large ones, but maybe you've already discussed them already.
If you got something to tell, let me know. That's the only one that somebody else is explaining besides me. So if you got any questions on any of the others.
What's the electrical and security revisions? Did we not have that in our contract before?
No, these are all ads. These have been on here for a while now. Okay. So you probably don't remember when we first discussed them, but after a review by the principals involved, meaning the two departments and our IT folks, most of this is additional security, card readers, cameras.
That's okay. Yeah.
Tech and stuff like that.
I just wanted to confirm that it's additional.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right, Ken. I don't see anything else. Why don't we go
All right.
ahead?
Okay, Michael, if you want to take it over and talk about the steam shower issue, that would be great.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So about halfway through CDs, we were asked to make several revisions, additions, changes to the plans on the fire department side. One of which was to convert all of the showers, there are 7 showers on the fire side, to steam showers. Steam showers are I would say, a leading technology for helping people, firefighters, to expel carcinogens from the body, after being out on site. So when we were asked to do that, we changed the design of the showers on the fire side, those 7 showers, to incorporate the steam shower, and we changed the enclosures to ceramic tile. They were originally, all the showers, both on the fire side and the police side, were acrylic coated fiberglass inserts, which is a very clean way of providing showers for public safety. So we did that, and we expected and essentially directed our consultant GGD to change the insert, because they were specified actually for the plumber contractor that failed subbid, to just a base, because we were going to build the walls and put a glass door on them, which we did. We put those were in the bid documents that went out. But GGD never removed the shower enclosure from there. They left the same number rather than changing the identification for the base on the fire side. They left the same specification in there. So what happened is we were double specified, ceramic tile showers and the plumbing enclosure, and the plumber put his work in there first. He got there first and put them in. A decision at that time was to, well, let's wait and see what, if this essentially will work. Well, we found out that the enclosures do not work because they will not support the temperature of the steam. And we've had some bubbling of the acrylic surface over the fiberglass. I'm told that if the plumber had specified a cast acrylic enclosure, that would have sufficed. But of course, we had changed it to ceramic tile, so we were thinking it was going to be ceramic tile. As I said, the acrylic coating in bathroom enclosures do not work. So we have to take these out now, remove the 7 showers, rebuild the walls in ceramic tile, put in a prefab base, and in other words, take the door out, take the enclosure out, put the tile in there, the base, and reinstall the door. And there's some trim around the sides. Consigli has a preliminary estimate of that costing this amount. We have, our estimator has done an estimate also. It's lower than this, but not it's not half that. And we are currently talking with Steve with Steve for now, about how Castle Booze can defer the cost of this so that it does not become a $99,000 change order. So we're in discussions about that. I've also spoken with Christian Reardon of Consigli about trying to keep the cost of this down. But truly, it's the only way. We looked at other solutions of what you could do to leave these in place and take the coating off, replace it. But the truth is, nothing would be as permanent as the ceramic showers. So we're looking for durability in a building that's going to be around for 50 to 75 years easily. And the right way to do it is put the ceramic tile that we had originally intended. So again, we're working on this currently with Steve and Consigli.
Yeah, can I just jump in here? I think it suffices to say that the architect has acknowledged some culpability here with regard to the situation. And until we know and get through some of the details of what needs to be done, we don't have a revisional number to give the committee that should be available at the next time we discuss it. But it appears, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that there will be some acknowledgement in terms of fee for this situation, and we will.
Absolutely. It is our intention that the town, they'll see a change order, but no cost or little cost with respect to this. But we have a little work to do before we can get there. I expect that number to go down to 0 or close to 0.
Okay. Thank you. There's two questions out there. Natasha, I see your hand up, and George as well. So Natasha, go ahead. You're on mute, Natasha.
So I just have a quick question. So you owned ceramic tile and you owned the acrylic, right, Michael?
That's what was in the drawings, yes. But there is a complication regarding the filed sub-bid for ceramic tile, which came in over a budget. But taking the ceramic tile out of the showers was not in the value engineering that we developed to try and get that back into line with the
right. So
budget.
just a couple of.
The story is a little more complicated than that, and I don't have all of those facts.
So if just from what you told me, if you own both things, you should get a credit for one of them. Granted, it's a filed sub-bid and it's in both ways, so there's probably some complication there, which is what you're trying to tell me a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so the other piece is when the shop drawings came in, were they reviewed and everyone thought that was correct? They were approved?
Yes, but keep in mind that we still have these enclosures on the police side. So, there are numerous showers that will have the insert.
So it's a quantity
piece. The only place we changed them out were in the steam showers on the fire side.
Okay, so there's the confusion for that. And I guess the only question that I have is, so for you to remove them, one of the things we did at the now Nubian Square, but Dudley Square B2 police station was we put corian instead of tile. Could that help? Is the problem with the cost is substrate, or I'm just wondering if you remove it and you put something else and you don't have to prepare for tile, would that save us? Would that save any money?
It could actually, Natasha. We haven't looked at corian. We were looking at, what we had specified, but we're certainly willing to look at anything that will help us,
lower the cost,
the impact of this.
And yeah, I'm just thinking
we actually have looked at that, and we do have a number for that as well.
Okay, so that was it, Stuart.
Okay, thanks, Natasha. And George?
Yes, a question regarding whether or not this also carries over to Fire Station 2, because you're going to want to put steam showers there too, right? And did this cost, did this change or this error occur for Fire Station 2 as well?
Yeah, we have the same issue there, but we've issued sketches to correct that there. In other words, we have both the ceramic tile and these inserts there, but we've clarified that. We've issued, has the sketch been issued, Keith?
It has, yes.
Yeah.
My point is that when, when the filed subbidder decided to bid on Fire Station 2, did he estimate that it would be for steam showers, or did he estimate the other way? And
Oh, no, the steam showers are in the bid documents.
so that's what you expect the filed subbidder to provide for Fire Station 2.
Yes,
So-
but we have the same problem that the shower was specified in both ceramic tile and the fiberglass insert. So we need to clarify that before they, this time, of course, we're able to do it before they actually, the plumber put the inserts in.
So I'll follow up with what Natasha mentioned. Shouldn't we get a credit back from that filed subbidder?
The issue revolves around the way Consigli negotiated the final levelizing of this contract with the file subbidder, and whether or not there was acknowledgement at that time that there was not to be any tile in these steam showers. So that's where the confusion arises, and that's where some of the detail needs to be sorted out.
So the simple question at this point is, should we put something into our anticipated cost log to resolve this issue for Fire Station 2?
That is correct, we should.
It's been issued, so by next month, we should have a real price on it, I'd imagine.
So it's not really 99,000, it's more than that.
Well, it's whatever the cost is. There has been some modifications to what Consigli originally estimated at 99. Mike's estimate is down in the 50s. And we have to sort that through.
But does it include whatever it's going to take to make the steam showers at Fire Station 2 in our anticipated cost log?
It's
We'll get to
unclear,
that,
it's
George.
unclear now, George, because of the assumptions Consigli made to get to that $99,000 number. Is the assumptions that they made are not included necessarily with KBA's fix. So we don't know. So it could turn out to be that with Fire Station 2. It could turn out to be more. It could turn out to be less. But we just got the drawings for Fire Station 2 today, and they'll start tomorrow with pricing that out. And,
So can I,
and be able to price out the changes in headquarters. That has not been issued as an official PR as of yet. So once we get those changes, then we can work on the final numbers.
what I'd like to suggest is that, given there's still some work to do, George, if you're okay me entertaining your time here, is to suggest that we get back in 2 weeks' time a full perspective on this. It should give you time, Ken and Mike and Steve, to work through the pieces, and then can you bring back to the committee just to close it out and give us the full story. And then, you know, I think the other part that I would add as a question is, if you have to remove those showers, what do you do for temporary showers in headquarters, or is that not an issue? How do you manage transition?
It's not an issue, Stuart. We'll phase it. So
Okay.
the only ones that really come into play in that regard are the 3 showers that are in the dorm wing. We can only do those one at a time. So
Okay,
we'll
fine.
have 2 active showers in there and 1. So that phasing was taken into consideration with this number, because you're going to have a minimum of 3 mobilizations for the contractors, because they can only do one of those.
Okay. So if 2 showers next to it are being run, the water and humidity aren't going to affect putting it in.
Separate room, completely separate rooms.
You'll figure that all out. So is it fair to say, from a committee standpoint, and George and others can certainly pipe up, but I would just make the request. We've got the issue on the table. Can you come back in 2 weeks' time and just lay out all the pieces and then ultimately what the financial consequence, which at this stage of the game, I think the expectation from the committee is that there would be no cost given the situation. But in fairness, let's get it all laid out and brought back to the committee in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll do our best. That the only roadblock to that might be is getting the individual subcontractors to get their numbers back. We have no control over that except to try and have consistency push them.
And we need to make sure that includes a line item for Fire Station 2 if that's appropriate.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, isn't this something you have to act on pretty soon, Ken?
Not really, because the showers are operating at headquarters, so it doesn't affect the timeline over at Fire Station 2 at all. Because
well, I'm just talking about the whole thing. So if we can get an update in 2 weeks, great.
Yep.
If we get the whole picture, but at least minimally an update of where we are.
We'll certainly have a much better idea at that point. Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay, Ken, any other questions from anybody else? I'm just trying to look through faces and online. I don't see.
A question.
Go ahead, Gene.
I just want to check if this applies here. I have experience with steam showers on the residential side, and I know that we always have to take into consideration the design of the shower door for a unit like this, and also the ventilation. Is that something that is a factor here?
The ventilation, no, because the ventilation was designed for it, so it's not a big deal.
Okay.
From that regard, the doors, the initial scope is to try and salvage the doors. There's some question as to whether we can or not. We're waiting. That will be feedback from the individual subcontractor on that. But we have existing doors. They were designed for that. It's just a matter of whether can we save them and retrofit it for the new design.
Okay. Gene, anything else?
That's it.
Okay. I see no other questions. Okay. All right, Ken.
Well, we're at that. If we're done with questions there, Stuart, you can take it into the voting items.
Do you want me to follow your items here on the screen?
It doesn't. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it either way. I know you like to group them together. We got.
Yeah, I think it's just easier to group them together.
That's fine. We got a bunch of KBA ones. I do it just basically in the order that I get the invoices. So, but
and I know that Harbor Networks is not on this list, so I think we'll just have to. Catherine will keep us honest, but what I'll do is
it's not on your list, but it is on my, you'll see it there right in the middle of the page.
Yeah, the 14,000. Okay. All right.
However you want to do it, Stuart, I'll leave that up to you.
Okay, thanks. All right, folks, we've got a number of items here. What I'm going to do is the consigli, you got questions marked next to this, Catherine, the 1.1 mil?
I think I had put that in earlier because I just wanted to confirm the amount, but that's the correct amount.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to group two invoices for well, actually, sorry, we do have to do it separate. We'll do the change order first, which is change order number 22 for $222,000 and $222,139 coming out of the general contracting budget for consigli. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none. And please speak up if you have questions because of the way the monitor's working. So I hear none. So I'm going to go through the roll call. Richard.
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Irwin.
Aye.
Gene.
Aye.
Natasha.
Aye.
Chief Condon.
Aye.
Keith Schlittler.
Aye.
Stuart Chair is aye. Okay. Now we'll move to the invoices. And the first invoice is the consigli requisition 21 through October 2020 for $1,149,762.27. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any questions? Hearing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Natasha,
Aye.
Chief Condon,
Aye.
Chief Schlittler,
Aye.
Stewart's an aye. Okay, I have 4 invoices from KBA, grouping them together. The first one is for October 2020 services for $35,752.95 coming out of the architecture budget. All of them are. Next one is for traffic signals, $1,117.05. The next one is for geotech, $4,345. And the last one from KBA is for acoustical consulting for $4,675, all coming out of the architecture budget, all October 2020 services. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Hearing none, coming to the vote. The roll call is Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Natasha,
Aye.
Chief Condon,
Aye.
Chief Schlittler,
Aye.
Stewart the chair, aye. Okay, thank you. All right, I've got 4 invoices coming out of the FF&E budget. They are 3 of them from WB Mason and 1 from Granger. First one is WB Mason for $53.10. Next one, these are for waste containers, $116.63. And the final WB Mason is for waste containers for $89.91. And the last invoice in this group is from Granger Miscellaneous Hardware for $24.73. That's coming out of the FF&E budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gene. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Natasha,
Aye.
Chief Condon,
Aye.
Chief Schlittler,
Aye.
Stewart the chair, aye. Okay. 2 invoices coming out of the technology budget. And as a matter of fact, I think we need to add this third one in there. Do we not? Can you go to the top of that one?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is, right there, Harbor Networks. Great.
Yep.
All right, we have 3 invoices coming out of the technology budget. 2 of them, Oakers and Company, audio and visual equipment for $1,286. Excuse me, let me stand corrected. The invoice is $1,289.60. Second invoice from Oakers is $9,125. And the final invoice in this packet is Harbor Networks for $14,820.86. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, coming to the vote. Roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Natasha,
Aye.
Chief Condon,
Aye.
Chief Schlittler,
Aye.
Stewart the chair, aye. Okay. The last grouping is 10 invoices. Bear with me as I read them through. They're coming out of the miscellaneous budget. The first one is for the pods for 28 Glengarry, $74. Next one is pods for basically latter part of October, early most of November for $114.99. Have another pod for early part of October through mid-November for $114.99. We have Needham Police Detail, School Street, $1,068. We have another police detail on School Street for $1,424. And we have another Needham Police detail on School Street for $1,068. We have Westwood Police detail for School Street, $429.52. And then we have 2 invoices. First one from UTS. The first UTS is October's materials testing on Chestnut Street for $390. And the second of the 2 is for October materials testing on Fire Station 2 for $2,925. For those invoices, do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
Natasha,
Aye.
Chief Condon,
Aye.
East Hitler,
Aye.
and Stewart Chair is aye. I believe that is all invoices for public safety. Ken and Catherine.
Yeah, that's all I had. I think that
Yep,
matches
that's it.
up. Doesn't it? Yep.
Okay. Any final questions? Anything for Ken?
I have one comment real quick.
Go ahead, Mike.
Just so you know, our temporary certificate of occupancy for 88 Chestnut was extended. The landscape work was completed in October, late October, and we went back to planning and asked them to extend the temporary certificate of occupancy through January of 22. And we got the okay on that just last week.
Excellent. Any other questions? Okay, I think that will wrap up the public safety topic. So I appreciate everybody, all the teams, all the user groups for attending. And from a committee standpoint, we just have 2 more items at the end. So
Thanks. See ya.
be safe.
Thank you.
Okay. I just have 2 quick topics for the committee. One is just on the Ridge Hill. I know, is Mike on? Yeah, there you are, Mike. I know you've got the Ridge Hill. I think you meant you were going to bring it to the next meeting and discussion. That's just for informational purposes, right? And Steve, there's nothing that I just want to set expectations going into that. There's nothing we need to we haven't been given the project or anything. This is just informational, correct? To follow up from questions last time.
Yeah, we have that, and we have that in a couple invoices that we just wanted to make the committee aware of. So I wanted to get that out to you as soon as we got it, because it's being forwarded on to the select board and the finance committee through Kate.
Okay. All right. So it's just
Just wanted to make sure you guys were all aware of it.
Okay.
We don't really have any voting approval for invoices.
Yeah, Mike, I don't think we need to bring the invoices to the committee.
Okay.
I think a summary of where we landed is probably in order, but that's
fine.
Okay. All right, great. All right, thanks. And then the only last item I want to do is just from the conversation we had last November, I thought it was only appropriate to make sure that what we set out as a committee from roles and responsibilities, we talked about rotating chair and all that stuff. So I thought I'd just put it on the table. We don't have to decide anything tonight. And I just wanted to make sure if we felt as a committee, we can make a formal item in the upcoming meetings. And that's the question is basically this: do we want to formally move forward with a yearly chairman change? Do we want to keep the committee as we are now going forward? I just put that on the table for any comments at this stage, or just we'll put it as a formal agenda item in an upcoming meeting, because I think we should at least recognize what we discussed last year. Any comments from folks?
I have a comment.
Go ahead, George.
When we did this, the object was to get some rotation. I don't think we really, but maybe we did decide to do it on a one-year basis. I think that's a good idea to revisit that. Frankly, as I've been thinking about it, probably makes more sense to have something like a minimum of 2 years and then consider rotation. That's just a thought that I had. I think that would be helpful for overall maintenance of continuity. It'll be hard to rotate every year. I don't know what other people think about that, but I think it might make more sense to make the period for the chair position and vice chair to be kind of a 2-year period rather than just 1 year. But that's just my thoughts.
Others?
I would not be opposed to that. I think there is continuity in it. There's a lot of information that that you carry, from year to year. So, but Stuart, I mean, how do you feel about it being a chair for 1 year? I thought George was going to nominate himself again. I thought that's why he wanted to talk first.
I'm enjoying this position. I still get to ask all the questions and have fun doing it. So
I'm just kidding, George.
He forgot how fun it was and realized he should never have relinquished it, right?
No. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm open to whatever, but I felt it responsible from the discussion that we had. And I think as a committee that I think we decide as a committee what we want to do. And if anybody has any opinions. Is that you, Erwin? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, how long has it been that you've been chair? Has it been a year?
It's been a little less than a year. Feels like about 50 years with this COVID thing, but that's okay.
I think you're doing a great job, and I am all for the continuity argument, and I'd be comfortable if it was 2 years before we might rotate.
And Mr. Chairman, as the person who is also most affected by this discussion, along with yourself, I also I would second the idea that it's fine to. I'm fine with whatever the committee decides. I would certainly welcome another year of vice chairmanship under my belt.
Okay, so I think if that's the case, then let's just make a formal item. I think probably in the first part of December is my recommendation. And Catherine, if you could take a note. I think we just, as a committee, vote on think about it for the next couple of weeks or a month. Actually, it'd be a month from now. Is if anybody has an opinion, we'll use that agenda item to record what we feel is appropriate for the structure of the committee going forward. If it's 2 years or we just vote for whatever term, we can propose that. And then I think that helps close out and tie together what we had the discussion last year. And I'm quite fine staying as chairman. I think there is, as I've learned, the continuity in these projects and some of the bumps that occur, some of the decisions that have to be made. I think it's easier a bit on Steve, and it's probably easier on the contractors and architects to a certain degree to have that continuity. But I'm open. So why don't we make that? If we can, a formal agenda item, Catherine, in the first December meeting, and that will carry us then through to the next point.
Mr. Chairman, one point, I believe Hank Haff has already submitted something to MSBA announcing a leadership change to the committee. I assume that can be undone, but I would have to defer to him on that as to whether we can retract the submittal. And so.
No, we would only need to submit it again if we did the change.
Yeah, because I think the submittal was for the change that's current. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and I think I'm still listed as the PBBC contact person. Isn't that right, Hank? Or did that change?
You had been until this last submittal to the MSBA, and since a lot of the final documents need to be submitted and signed by the school committee chair, not necessarily the representative, it has to be the chair of the committee. We felt it was important, since we had made that change, formalize it with MSBA. So Stuart's name is now in there.
Okay, great.
Great. All right, if there's any other comments or topics, go ahead and raise your hand. Natasha?
I do have.
Just to let you know that I'm part of the Nuwari committee, the Needham United Against Racism. So Kate made the meetings every other Monday, the ones that are not PPBC, but we had a technical glitch. So anyway, that's why I was late today, because I was in that other meeting that they had to reschedule it for today. But just in case, I'll let you know if for some reason there's an overlap. There shouldn't be, but just to let you know.
Thank you. Thank you. George?
Yes. Quick question. We have a December meeting, only one, and then we don't have another meeting for about 4 weeks into January. Steve, is that going to cause any issues regarding payment of invoices being that far apart?
I don't think so. I know the December meeting will take care of November's pay rec for Consigli.
I mean, we hardly ever do it that far apart. I don't think we've ever had 4 weeks in between. Isn't our January meeting 4 weeks after the December meeting?
Catherine, when is the January meeting?
It's the January 11th.
So it's, yeah, roughly 4 weeks. With the holidays, I don't think that's unusual.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. And I think I think it'll pick up the Consigli pay recs, which are the critical item in our voting for, with that period of time.
Okay.
I do have one other thing, Stuart.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to discuss the issues related to school master plan but I think on second thought, I'll wait until the next meeting and bring it forward. We've got, as everybody is aware, we've got quite a task in front, not we, but the town has, in terms of defining how to move forward with the school master plan in terms of the fiscal funding needs for that. And the school committee, I think everybody's aware, the school committee did vote on the school master plan. So that was an extremely important step that establishes the vision of the schools with regard to how to go forward in the phasing and implementation of the necessary programming and upgrades that are necessary. The discussions of the funding are currently in place. The data is being accumulated. We don't really know what the impact is. That's work that Dave Davison needs to do in December and January. But one of the important elements is that to move forward on the plan, at Maytown meeting was a significant funding requirement, which I believe nobody has the appetite to put forward, which would have required essentially a $3.6 million funding to start the program moving. So that's in discussion right now. We have made a suggestion to the schools to work on an alternate plan of getting started so that upgrades that are going to occur, and that's a discussion that I think the committee needs to fully involve themselves, that upgrades such as replacing the air conditioning system at Pollard be done in a way that isn't in a silo mode where you're not considering what the future of that school is going to entail. And those are difficult discussions that the committee has to understand the nature of. There are discussions that are now being handled internally between Hank, myself, and DPW Barry and Karis and Ann from the schools. And I think it's better that we just put it on as an agenda item next week, next meeting, to discuss in detail what's going on. And I think also to discuss the role that the committee needs to play with regard to how we go forward.
I think if you don't do that, then we're going to be presented with an idea that may not be the best solution for the town. I really believe that. And I don't think we should leave that task up to others. The thought that I had was once we get some initial reading from the school department, it's probably not a bad idea to have some kind of a joint discussion, whether it's a joint meeting or something, to discuss how we should proceed rather than do it without the committee's involvement. Because I see a lot of issues here, and I'm not sure that that group, I mean, no offense to you, Steve, or Hank, but I think it's really important to get the committee's input on potential suggestions going forward. I really do.
I totally, heartily agree. I think the committee has to understand, absorb the issue, and present a position, advocacy, or whatever that follows, that allows us to get into a path moving
Well,
forward.
it's not really advocacy. It's more, if you do this, have you thought about this, this, and this? If you take this approach, these are some of the things that you ought to plan for. I mean, it ought to be more of a planning discussion as opposed to an advocacy. You know, our role is not to be advocates of it, but to be evaluators of potential suggestions that are made by the user group, namely, in this case, the school department. If they say, we want Pollard to be the first on the block here, we need to, I think, then sit down and say, okay, what's it going to take to start doing some work on Pollard so that you're not throwing money down the drain that you're going to waste if you do the full project sometime. So, and I think that all has to take place, I think, and in a joint way between the school department representatives, your group, Steve, and the committee.
Yeah.
I think,
Go ahead, Stuart. I'm sorry.
yeah, I'd just like to suggest, comment-wise, is I'd like to be prepared for that meeting, because I think that, you know, there's a lot on the table regarding this, and we could spend a lot of time on it. So maybe between now and the meeting, Steve or George, even if I can call on you, is that we can just structure our discussion, because the other part is, I don't, you know, this is in the town's hands. This is not in our hands. I think that we are charged with what is charged to us to deliver. But I hear what you're saying in the standpoint of that, you know, maybe there's some things to think about. And that raises my question. And that is, did we not do enough in the school plan to lay out what it would take? And why would they deviate from that? So is this conversation to enlighten a little bit more on this and maybe be able to shed some light to the select board or the school committee or whoever? But I guess I'm not as tuned maybe than you guys are, but I just want to be careful how far we go, how much cycles we spend, but more importantly, if it is an important issue, we just need to be prepared.
I think realistically, Stuart, the numbers that were shown in the school master plan absolutely choked everybody. The school department, the select board, the FinCom, nobody wants to even talk about those numbers. And I think what I think most people want to talk about is what can we do to not slow this down too much, but to actually accomplish some things along the way that won't be wasted money. In order for that to happen, I think what we really need to do And I don't care what you call it. I think there ought to be some kind of a meeting, a Zoom meeting, where you bring in some of the folks from the PBBC, some from the team that Steve mentioned, some from the school department, school committee, and really just throw anything out and have some discussion on it to see what those items might be. It may not be the HVAC at Pollard. That may not be the best choice. It may be other things, but I think that discussion has to take place, and not in a vacuum, but it out with a lot of transparency.
Hank, did you have a?
Yeah, as you see, have you received it? No, I guess you haven't received all of the detail of all of the reports and all of the capital improvement plans. But within the CIPs for each building, Doran Whittier did articulate priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3 projects. What we want to make sure is that the priority 1 projects, which would come up first, wouldn't be torn out during a major renovation. And to date, all of the improvements have been fairly logical in terms of upgrading bathrooms, for instance, so that they are handicapped accessible, and improving those bathrooms. They have been working on the 2 gymnasiums, which are likely to be long-term, kept for the long term. But as they start getting into the mechanical systems, we don't necessarily want the DPW to be replacing all the unit ventilators when we think that in the long term, they might be ripped out and replaced by a rooftop system, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think in fairness to the time and wrapping this discussion up, not to shortchange this, but I think because of the complexity of it, I'd like to recommend that if we have that on the next meeting as an agenda item on the next meeting, is can we get prepared to structure the conversation? Because I can see that there's a lot here. So is that something, Steve, that we can do? Would that be something that maybe Hank, George, myself, you, or if others want to participate, that we just, have a meeting in the next week or so and just talk about this and how we can set ourselves up for the discussion? Is that a fair ask?
Sure, we can do that. We've already had some discussions because we've been thinking ahead that this was going to be an issue, and we have identified with Doran Whittier an approach which we think would satisfy the pathway to getting to a resolution, realizing that the school master plan, which the committee did review and accepted, would not essentially start off with a large projected effort at Maytown meeting. So there have been discussions, and there's been meetings with FinCom. There's a meeting coming forward with the select board on the school master plan later this month. I think it's the 23rd, or I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Yeah, it's the day after our next PBBC meeting. So
Is that being presented by the school department?
Yes.
yes, and the the Emery Grover building will be presented at the same time as was done for FinCom earlier this month.
Hank, I don't know if you could share the screen, unless, just to give you a flavor of what we're thinking of in terms of trying to move forward in a more gradual process to satisfy the vision, but don't let it just stop while we're discussing. This type of expenditure of money has been discussed with the schools. It's been discussed with the town manager. It's being brought forward as a warrant, as a CIP request, which may or may not result in a warrant article, to initiate a study that helps us formulate what the Pollard would look like going forward if we were to make some serious modifications. And it does include evaluation of those modifications and possibly initiating the basis for design of certain elements of the MEP system in particular.
I think that this came about in part because the DPW has another warrant article or a CIP for about $1.2 million to add air conditioning to the Pollard School. And when we saw that, when we realized that, both Steve and I reacted to Barry saying, well, we really need to talk about how that's done, and it needs to be looked at in context of the long term. And so this was a much reduced effort, but an effort that does require going through more detailed programming and fleshing out the design a bit more of that idea within the master plan. And then
how does that get to the master plan when we've been talking about potentially making Pollard a fairly substantial construction project? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me that that would be an item approved on the capital improvement plan and about to be presented. That would be thrown off the floor at town meeting in a heartbeat based on where we are. I don't understand how we get that far.
I don't understand your comment, George.
Well, you mean someone was about to spend $1.2 million to redo the HV or the air conditioning system at Pollard?
It's been on the CIP for about 4 years.
I understand that, but now we have a master plan that essentially says we ought to be considering something like Pollard as a rehab school project.
Correct. And that's where the discussion revolves around. So we are attempting to weave the intent of replacing some of the systems that apparently are on survival mode with a plan that dovetails, works in context with the plan for the expansion or the reorganization of Pollard.
But is this a PVC issue, or is this a select board school committee to recognize all the work that's been put together to synchronize it properly?
It's largely a school, it's a school initiative, but it would be the PVC who would be basically overseeing.
Yes, no, I understand that, but we don't have a project yet. What I'm saying is the awareness of the left hand and the right hand not being in sync in this process.
Right.
You know, if the town building group decides to go and replace a air conditioning system, and this school master plan is out there that would really encapsulate that and take it off the table because of where we're going, you know, left hand, right hand need to be talking. And so I guess, again, I don't want to solve it tonight. I think we've got to lay it up for the next conversation, but it seems to me we need to help sort of ferret through that and maybe make a comment to somebody, but ultimately, right now, where does an issue like that stand?
If I may, I think the risk is that if we do nothing at this point, that
Who's we?
well, if the town doesn't vote the approval of the full master plan and the funds to proceed in the master plan
Yeah.
because of the current fiscal issues.
Yep.
And the town has also been told through the school master plan that they can't just ignore the buildings.
Right.
Some money has to be invested in them in order to keep them going. So I think if we look at it as trying to focus the town's effort as to which elements within that plan can and should be done now that will contribute to the long-term benefit of the school.
I don't disagree with that, but there's never been an air conditioning system for the Pollard Auditorium. And that's always been something that is an item that probably should happen, but not before you think about the overall school itself. So it's not a matter of replacing an existing system that isn't working. We don't have air conditioning in that auditorium. And that's probably not a good thing. But the fact is, we could probably live with it for a few more years if it meant redoing an entire system. So I think we've got to be careful of that. That's been on the list for a long time because everybody realizes it would be nice to have an air-conditioned auditorium, which they don't have. But it's not a matter of replacing what's there.
Those are exactly. I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
But George, the 1.2 million is to replace the unit ventilators in the classroom. It's to replace the entire, what is now the HVAC system of the Pollard, not just the auditorium.
Replace all the unit ventilators with rooftop units for 1.2 million?
Well, that's questionable whether
That's a pretty good deal.
Maybe they should
Let's sign
do
up
it.
for it. Sign up for it right away, will you?
That's what was put forward. I'm not
Well,
suggesting.
It's short-sighted is what.
So hello, I think that exemplifies the issue. There's no way you're going to put an entire, get rid of all the unit ventilators in that school and put a brand new system in there for $1.2 million. What's the thinking? Anyway, I think we need to have an offline discussion of
Thank
these
you.
things.
That's what I want to make sure that let's set the topic up because I want to make sure we put the problem statement or the question statement on the table for the committee because otherwise I think we can go off in a lot of different directions here. And I think it's only fair, and I'm going to ask it from my viewpoint, is that we manage the conversation or set it up to be effective and achieve what we believe we need to achieve. Because right now we're going into design, we're going into maybe what town meeting may or may not approve. We're talking about certain money things. I think there's an issue floating, but let's take it offline, have a discussion and properly put it in front of the committee to have that discussion to be effective. That's the only ask I've got.
Stuart, can I just add one thing in general? I think
Go ahead.
there's an education piece, which I think is what George is saying to whoever is creating this budget that is unrealistic. One piece is that the energy codes will not let you replace in kind anymore. That there has to be a study. So whatever they're planning doesn't sound right. And it should be kind of thorough planning, which is what this is probably saying. But I think we need to look at the long term and not just the short term.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. So Steve, I would just ask, whoops, my machine just went off. Just ask Steve if we can just pull together a couple of us and just work it. So then we can, again, I'll be repetitive, but just shape it because I think it seems to be an important topic, but let's position it right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Any other topics or committee business? Hearing none, seeing none. Okay. I think we're all set. Have a safe week, everybody.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stuart. Good night.
Good night.
Night.